Look like reality has definitely settled in for Paige Bueckers because she's still listed on IR.
The WNBA has been rocked by shocking news, and this time the name at the center of it all is Paige Bueckers. A player once praised as the future face of the league is now sending fans and analysts into panic after the latest disturbing injury update came out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all right. I just got it checked out. I think just pulled muscle. Just felt a strain, felt a tighten, so just gonna get it worked out. Take some medicine.
For weeks, supporters have been waiting for answers, clinging to the hope that Paige's time on the injured list was nothing more than a minor setback. But new reports suggest the situation may be far more complicated than anyone expected. Questions about transparency, her long-term durability, and the league's handling of star players are suddenly front and center. This isn't just about one injury. It's about the future of a young star who was supposed to change everything. And as whispers turn into headlines, the WNBA is left scrambling to control the narrative. But the panic is only just beginning.
The person who y'all picked ain't quite who y'all thought she was. See, y'all thought Paige was just going to come in, dominate, do what Caitlin Clark did, even better than Caitlin Clark did it. And I'm here to tell you, we told y'all last year, Caitlin Clark is a generational talent.
When the first reports surfaced that Paige Bueckers had been placed on the injury list, most fans brushed it off as something minor. After all, athletes miss games for routine reasons all the time. But as the days turned into weeks and the explanations grew vague, the story started to take on a much darker tone. Instead of clarity, fans were left with contradictions. Official statements described her setback as an illness, yet observers noticed that she looked physically limited in her last appearances on the court. That raised the critical question: was the league, or even her team, being fully transparent about what was going on? Paige has never been just another rookie. She arrived with the reputation of a prodigy, someone who could single-handedly shift the trajectory of a franchise. That's why every update about her health has been magnified. Unlike role players who might miss games quietly, Paige's absence sends shockwaves throughout the WNBA community.
I guess it's day to day. I'm hoping it won't take me out. But yeah, just get some treatment, get some rest, get some medicine. So I'm hoping it doesn't take me out.
Social media threads filled with worried speculation. Some fans convinced she was dealing with a routine bug, while others suggested that the illness label was a convenient shield for a more serious underlying problem. The panic escalated. When video clips from her last game began circulating, viewers pointed out how different she looked compared to her high-scoring outings earlier in the season. Instead of cutting through defenses with confidence, she seemed slowed down. Hesitant at times, she was swarmed by defenders and struggled to make her usual impact. Commentators noted the stark change in her body language, almost as if she knew something wasn't right physically. This created a domino effect of concern. If Paige's body is already showing cracks this early, what does that mean for her?
Paige Bueckers is on IR right now, and it ain't looking good for her, bruh, because she's dealing with the so-called illness. Now, to me, I believe they're not being transparent about her injury.
Long-term career? Adding fuel to the fire is the fact that this isn't the first time her durability has been questioned. From her college days, Paige has carried the weight of high expectations while battling through setbacks. Each time, she has come back stronger, but the accumulation of injuries creates a narrative that she might be prone to breaking down under pressure. Fans hate to admit it, but some have already begun comparing her to other stars whose promising careers were derailed by recurring health issues. For the league, this is nothing short of a nightmare. Paige was marketed as one of the cornerstones of the WNBA's next era. Her highlights were supposed to be plastered across social media, her face on merchandise, her performances filling arenas. Now, instead of celebrating her rise, headlines focus on whether she'll even make it back to full strength this season. That's a devastating blow not only to the Dallas franchise but to the NBA's broader efforts to expand its fan base. And this is where the panic truly sets in. If Paige's injury is more serious than reported, the trust between the league, the team, and the fans could begin to fracture. Everyone remembers how transparency issues have damaged credibility in the past, and no one wants history to repeat. Itself, the question now is whether this disturbing injury update is just a bump in the road, or the start of a much larger problem that could define Paige Bueckers' career before it even truly begins.
Paige, you said that you go back out to medicine, you can stretch it. Like, would you guys do?
Yeah, went to get it evaluated really quick. Did a lot of stretching. Did some gun treatment, the massage gun treatment. So just try to work it out, try to not to let it get stiff before I went back in.
As Paige's situation unfolded, one detail stood out more than anything else: the silence. In professional sports, especially when a rising star is sidelined, updates usually flow quickly. Teams release medical reports, coaches speak in press conferences, and fans are reassured that their favorite player is on the mend. But with Paige, the information has been scattered, vague, and frustratingly inconsistent. The official word has repeatedly been that she's dealing with an illness, yet no specifics have been provided. That lack of clarity has only deepened the sense of panic around her condition. Fans aren't just worried about Paige's immediate health. They're worried about transparency. Was the injury downplayed to protect the team's image? About her condition now dominate discussions. Criticism for how it handles star players. In recent seasons, other high-profile injuries have left fans questioning whether the league is truly prioritizing player health or focusing more on public image. With Paige, the stakes are higher. She isn't just a talented guard for Dallas. She's one of the most marketable young faces in women's basketball. That means every decision, every delay in communication, and every cryptic update carries the weight of a league trying to protect its future investment. For the players, too, the silence creates unease. Teammates have been supportive publicly, but insiders note that locker rooms often thrive on honesty. When uncertainty clouds the health of a key player, it changes the entire dynamic of preparation. Coaches can't plan rotations with confidence. Teammates don't know what to expect on the court, and the constant speculation becomes a distraction. For a rookie like Paige, who is still adjusting to the professional pace, that type of instability only adds pressure. The media has not been quiet either. Commentators and podcasters have started to highlight the discrepancies in Paige's situation. Clips of her playing through what looked like obvious physical limitations have been replayed countless times, as to accuse the league of playing games with the truth, which only heightens fan distrust. For the WNBA, this moment is pivotal. The league is in the middle of a massive push for growth, fueled by stars like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Bueckers herself. The reality of Paige's injury, the backlash could overshadow the very progress the WNBA has fought so hard to make in the end. Silence is proving louder than words. Every unanswered question makes the panic worse. Every vague update makes fans feel misled, and every day without clarity makes Paige's future more uncertain. And as that silence stretches on, the fear isn't just about her missing a few games, it's about whether the league is prepared to deal with the truth when it finally comes out. When Paige first stepped onto a WNBA court, she looked unstoppable. Defenders gave her space, she knocked down shots at will, and her early scoring bursts made headlines across sports media. Fans were quick to crown her the next big thing, pointing to her smooth game and clutch performances. But as the season unfolded, something shifted. Teams began studying her tendencies, building defensive schemes specifically designed to shut her down. What once looked like effortless dominance suddenly turned into a battle for survival on every possession. The turning point came at a game where analysts described her defense as looking like a dark night wall. Instead of a single defender, Paige was met with traps, double teams, and layers of help defense every time she touched the ball. It was no longer a rookie getting the benefit of the doubt, it was the league treating her like a true star, someone whose game had to be contained. At all costs, the result. Paige struggled, and for the first time, fans saw her limitations on full display. This defensive adjustment exposed more than just her shooting efficiency. Getting swarmed night after night wears down even seasoned veterans, let alone a rookie carrying the weight of enormous expectations. And for Paige, who has battled injuries before, the grind of facing constant pressure raised legitimate questions about her durability. Was her body truly ready for the intensity of professional defenses targeting her every move? Critics argue that this was the real wake-up call. They say her early numbers were inflated because defenses hadn't taken her seriously yet, almost allowing her to rack up points. Once teams adjusted, her weaknesses became more visible. Her decision-making under pressure faltered. Her shooting percentages dipped in clutch moments, and her once fluid style of play looked rushed and uncomfortable. For someone already battling health concerns, the timing of these struggles couldn't have been worse. Supporters pushed back, reminding everyone that every rookie faces this adjustment period. Even Caitlin Clark, despite her historic season, endured. Nights where defenses built walls to contain her. They argue Paige simply needs time to adapt, to learn how to read defenses quicker, and to build the stamina to thrive under constant physical pressure. But the fact remains, with her current injury clouding everything. Fans can't help but wonder if her body can handle that learning curve. The silence around her health, combined with the visible impact of defensive schemes, creates a troubling picture. If Paige is already breaking down against this level of intensity, what does that mean for her long-term career? Will she be able to evolve her game to withstand the spotlight? Or will the defensive shift we've witnessed mark the beginning of her struggles in the league? That's the haunting question, lingering over every update, every clip, and every whispered report. And the more teams figure her out, the more pressure builds on Paige to prove she's not just a temporary star but one built to last. As the debate around Paige Bueckers' health and performance intensified, the media began digging deeper into her season. Highlights told one story a rookie who could explode for 40-plus points and electrify crowds. But the statistics painted a more complicated picture. On paper, Paige's scoring looked impressive. Yet when analysts broke it down into situational numbers, cracks began to emerge. It wasn't just about what she scored, but when and how she scored that mattered most. One podcast clip that spread widely among fans put the spotlight squarely on her clutch performance. According to the analysts, Paige had struggled in late-game situations. While her overall shooting percentage remained strong, her efficiency plummeted in crunch time. In comparison, other rookies like Sonia Citron were shooting better under pressure, raising questions about whether Paige was truly ready to shoulder the weight of being a franchise closer. Production seemed to shrink when it mattered most. This perspective was a shock to many who had only been following her highlight reels. Casual fans saw the big scoring nights and assumed she was dominating at all levels. But seasoned viewers and analysts noticed the context. Many of her points came in stretches where defenses gave her more space, or in games where the outcome was already leaning one way. When the spotlight grew hotter, her numbers didn't hold up. This wasn't just nitpicking. It was the type of statistical breakdown that could influence awards, all-star recognition, and ultimately her reputation, to make matters more complex. Her team's situation added another layer. That reality cast Paige's heroics in a different light. Was she putting up numbers in games where the stakes were low for her team? Were her struggles in big moments partly the result of not having enough veteran support around her? These were fair questions, but they also underscored how much of her rookie narrative was tied to circumstances beyond her control. Still, media voices didn't dismiss her entirely. In fact, many praised her for already being considered among the top guards in the league during her first year. Earning an all-star starter spot, despite the injury cloud, was a testament to her talent and popularity. Yet the comparisons that inevitably followed to Caitlin Clark, most of all, showed just how high the bar had been set. Caitlin not only delivered individual brilliance, she led her team into the playoffs. That accomplishment added a dimension that Paige's season, no matter how flashy, could not match. For Paige, the scrutiny is double-edged. On one hand, she's being held to impossibly high standards, measured against one of the most generational rookies in basketball history. On the other, her own inconsistencies and injury setbacks have left an opening for critics to question whether her impact is as real as her hype. And as these numbers continue to circulate, the narrative surrounding her rookie season becomes less about promise and more about proof. No matter how much Paige Bueckers accomplishes in her rookie season, one reality overshadows everything. She will always be compared to Caitlin Clark. From the moment Paige entered the WNBA, fans and media alike set the stage for a rivalry between two of the most hyped prospects women's basketball has ever seen. But while Paige has had moments of brilliance, the numbers, context, and results all point in Caitlyn's favor, and the comparison is growing more brutal by the day. At first glance, their stats look eerily similar. Both average around 19 points per game, which might suggest they're on equal footing. But dig deeper, and the separation becomes undeniable. Caitlyn's rebounding numbers dwarf Paige's, with Clark averaging nearly 6 boards per game compared to Paige's under 4. More importantly, Caitlyn has established herself as a pure playmaker, averaging over 8 assists per game, far more than Paige's 5. That gap reveals a key difference. While Paige can score, Caitlyn controls the flow of the game, making everyone around her better. Efficiency tells another story. Caitlyn has consistently shot better from three-point range, free throws, and overall field goal percentage. Even under playoff-level defenses, her shooting has remained strong. While Paige's numbers dip noticeably when defenders apply maximum pressure, the eye test backs this up. Caitlyn thrives in chaos, finding open teammates or creating her own shot in transition. While Paige often looks overwhelmed when trapped or blitzed, but what truly cements the gap between the two is impact. Caitlyn Clark didn't just put up historic numbers, she carried Indiana to the playoffs in her rookie season. That feat cannot be overstated. Most rookies spend their first year adjusting, learning, and struggling through losses. Caitlyn defied that script entirely, elevating her team to a new level and energizing the fan base like few rookies in league history ever have. Paige, meanwhile, has spent her rookie year on a Dallas team that continues to struggle at the bottom of the standings. Her efforts, while impressive in isolation, haven't translated to wins. This contrast fuels the narrative that Paige's stardom might be more about hype than reality. Critics argue that her big games ring hollow without team success, while Caitlyn's performances carry the weight of wins and playoff appearances. Supporters of Paige counter that she simply doesn't have the same supporting cast. Without an all-star big like Aaliyah Boston or an elite scorer like Kelsey Mitchell, Paige is forced to shoulder too much on her own. And while there's truth to that, it doesn't erase the scoreboard or the standings. For fans, this debate has become emotional. Paige loyalists point to her skill set and argue that, with time and health, she could rival Caitlyn's trajectory. Caitlyn's supporters, however, insist that what Clark has already done sets her apart permanently. The WNBA thrives on rivalries, but this one feels lopsided for now. As Paige fights through her injury and mounting criticism, the shadow of Caitlyn Clark looms larger than ever. And unless she finds a way to flip the narrative, every milestone of her career will be measured against a rookie season that may never be matched again. From the moment Paige Bueckers declared for the WNBA, fans circled one matchup on the calendar: Paige versus Caitlyn Clark, two phenoms, two different styles, colliding on the professional stage for the first time. It was supposed to be the headline, rivalry that reignited interest in the league, a battle that would echo through highlight reels for years. But instead of fireworks, fans were left disappointed. Injuries robbed the season of its most anticipated showdown, and the absence of that duel only amplified the comparisons hanging over Paige's rookie year. The hype leading up to a potential matchup was enormous. Social media buzzed with debates about who would come out on top. Analysts crafted narratives about legacy, and ticket sales for games between Indiana and Dallas surged with expectation. This wasn't just about basketball, it was about the storyline. Caitlyn represented a new kind of guard, flashy, fearless, and relentless. Paige, meanwhile, was billed as the silky scorer who could dismantle defenses with precision. Their collision would have been the ultimate test of who really deserved the title of the WNBA's new face. But as the season wore on, fate intervened. Caitlyn missed time due to injury, and when she returned, Paige was the one sidelined. The calendar passed. Without the rivalry ever materializing, each missed game felt like a stolen opportunity, not just for the players, but for the league itself. Instead of delivering the spectacle everyone was waiting for, the WNBA had to settle for speculation and what-ifs. For a league trying to capture mainstream attention, that was a devastating blow. Fans weren't shy about voicing their frustration. On message boards and comment sections, they vented about the league's bad luck, with some even calling it a curse. "We waited years for this, and we didn't get it. One fan posted after the final Indiana-Dallas matchup of the season passed without either star on the court that disappointment has fueled even more pressure on Paige. If she had faced Caitlin, at least there would have been a definitive measuring stick. Without it, every conversation defaults back to numbers and comparisons, where Caitlin continues to hold the advantage. The absence of this rivalry also impacts how Paige is perceived. With no direct head-to-head, her critics argue she hasn't proven she belongs in the same conversation. They point out that, while Caitlin has already faced and conquered the league's toughest defenses, Paige has been sheltered by circumstance and now injury. On the other hand, Paige's supporters argue that the delay could work in her favor. By the time the two finally meet, likely in 2026, Paige could be healthier, more seasoned, and hungrier to silence the doubters. Still, the reality is that the WNBA missed its chance to capitalize on a moment that could have defined an era. The Paige versus Caitlin rivalry remains more of a fantasy than a reality, and the anticipation only builds with every season it's delayed. But in sports, opportunities don't last forever. If Paige's injury issues linger, the league risks losing the very clash that was supposed to carry it into a new era of excitement. And for Paige herself, the pressure to deliver when that day finally comes will be unlike anything she's faced before. From the beginning, Paige Bueckers' rise was heavily influenced by what many call the old guard of basketball media. Long before she played her first WNBA game, established commentators and analysts were already touting her as the future savior of women's basketball. They framed her as a player destined to eclipse every peer, even Caitlin Clark. That narrative wasn't built just on performance, it was built on expectation. And it created a mountain of pressure Paige could never realistically escape. The problem is that those lofty projections now look shaky under scrutiny. Old guard media outlets doubled down on the Paige hype, dismissing Caitlin's dominance as a passing trend or claiming Paige had the more polished skill set for the pro game. But reality has a way of breaking through, and Caitlin's historic rookie season shattered those illusions. The comparison has become so stark that even Paige's biggest backers are forced to acknowledge the gap. What was once billed as Paige's inevitable takeover now feels like damage control. This backtracking has left a sour taste among fans. They feel misled by the analysts, who insisted Paige would outshine Caitlin, instead of acknowledging Caitlin's generational talent. Some media voices tried to spin Paige's struggles as circumstantial, blaming her teammates, coaching, or bad luck. That only fueled resentment. Fans want honesty, not excuses, and the reluctance of some commentators too. Admit Caitlin's superiority has painted Paige into an unfair corner. She's now caught in a storm of skepticism she didn't create but must endure. Even worse, the constant media spin has amplified the backlash. Every glowing headline about Paige is immediately met with comparisons to Caitlin's numbers, achievements, and leadership. Every attempt to spotlight Paige's potential is drowned out by reminders that Caitlin has already delivered results Paige has yet to match. Instead of building Paige up, the overhype has turned her into a lightning rod for criticism. In trying to craft a savior narrative, the old guard has set her up as a symbol of media bias rather than letting her career unfold naturally. What fans often forget is that Paige is still just a rookie, navigating injuries and adjustment to the professional game. The expectation that she would replicate or surpass Caitlin's impact immediately is unrealistic. Yet thanks to years of build-up, anything less feels like failure. It's an impossible standard, one that undermines her real accomplishments, becoming an all-star starter and proving herself as one of the top young guards in the league for the WNBA. The old guard media problem highlights a larger issue: the danger of clinging to outdated narratives in an era where fans have access to raw data, clips, and independent voices online. The traditional gatekeepers can no longer control the story. Fans are watching, analyzing, and fact-checking in real time. And when the hype doesn't match reality, the backlash is swift. Paige's challenge now isn't just physical recovery, it's reclaiming her story from the voices that inflated it. Until she does, she remains trapped between the narrative the old guard built for her and the brutal comparisons to the star they overlooked, Caitlin Clark, for all the speculation, media spin, and passionate debates. One fact remains clear: Paige Bueckers is an exceptional talent. But her rookie season has not lived up to the impossible pedestal she was placed on. She's already an all-star starter, a feat that most first-year players could only dream of. Yet the conversation surrounding her feels less about her actual achievements and more about the shadow cast by Caitlin Clark. That's the harsh truth. Fans can't ignore the bar isn't just high, it's nearly unreachable. Every clip of Paige dropping 40 points is immediately contrasted with Caitlin leading her team to the playoffs. Every article praising Paige's smooth scoring ability is met with reminders of Caitlin's all-around dominance, her rebounds, her assists, her leadership. The dialogue has shifted from celebrating Paige's rise to questioning why she hasn't reached Caitlin's level. In that sense, Paige's greatest flaw isn't her skill or her health, but the relentless comparisons to someone who may go down as one of the greatest rookies in league history. What makes this more frustrating for her supporters is the context. Paige isn't playing alongside an Aaliyah Boston or a Kelsey Mitchell. She doesn't have a team stacked with consistent contributors. Much of the responsibility falls squarely on her shoulders, and that's a heavy burden for any rookie. Still, sports are a results-driven world, and context rarely softens the blow of disappointment. Fans want wins, and critics want proof. Right now, neither side feels completely satisfied with what Paige has delivered. Her injury only deepens the unease. With every vague update, the panic grows louder. Fans can't help but wonder if her body will hold up long enough for her to ever reach her full potential. Her history of setbacks in college makes it impossible to dismiss those concerns. No matter how many flashes of brilliance she shows, durability will remain the elephant in the room. And in a league desperately trying to market its young stars, that question looms large. Still, Paige's story is far from written. She has the talent, the work ethic, and the spotlight to reshape the narrative in future seasons. But she will need more than highlights. She needs resilience, consistency, and above all, wins. If she can guide her team to relevance, the comparisons to Caitlin will sting less. If she continues to miss games and falter under pressure, the criticism will only intensify. The WNBA, too, finds itself at a crossroads. Its push for growth has been fueled by stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But Paige was supposed to be part of that core as well. The league cannot afford to lose her momentum to injuries and controversy. For now, fans are left grappling with a sobering reality. Paige Bueckers is good, very good, but the question haunting the league is whether she can ever be great enough to meet the expectations that were set long before she stepped onto the court. And until she answers that question, the panic won't fade, it will only grow louder. Paige Bueckers' rookie year has been anything but ordinary. Her journey has been filled with highs that inspire hope and lows that spark panic. Fans wanted to see her rise as the co-face of a new WNBA era, yet instead, she finds herself compared at every turn to Caitlin Clark, a player whose rookie season has already reshaped the league. That constant measuring stick overshadows Paige's real accomplishments, leaving her trapped between hype and harsh reality. If she can overcome the injury concerns and adjust to the relentless defensive pressure, she has the tools to craft her own legacy. The question is whether she can silence the doubts before they define her. For now, the WNBA waits nervously, knowing that Paige's future isn't just her own, it's tied to the league's growth itself.